Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we are with a man who needs no introduction. We are back for the second time with the 45th President of the United States, my father-in-law, President Donald Trump.
Hello, Laura.
Thank you for joining us. The last time you were on was spring of 2021 on our show, and almost immediately, social media, big tech deemed our interview so dangerous that they took it down within hours of being posted, and they said it was, and I quote, for sharing your voice. So how quickly do you think they will remove this very dangerous interview of a daughter-in-law speaking with her father-in-law?
Well, they're very dishonest people, and it's very bad for our country what's happened. And interestingly, that was about a year ago, but they've done very poorly since then. Their numbers are way down, and
it's true.
Some people said that it was one of the worst decisions made in all of business, taking me off, because they've become very boring. They've lost so much, and they've lost excitement. I mean, there's no excitement, there's no anything, there's nothing to talk about. And if you look at Facebook stock, and if you look at Twitter, what's gone on with Twitter, Twitter's a total disaster. And we have now Truth Social, and it's getting the word out like nobody can even imagine. But it's very sad when the country, it's really censorship for our country. You know, we're supposed to have a free press. We don't have a free press at all in this country.
Yeah, no, it's shocking and very upsetting, I think, for a lot of Americans. But you're right, Truth Social, which has been very successful, and
great.
Congratulations, because last time we spoke, that had not officially launched, but it is doing well. We're about a month away from the midterm elections. We've seen how impactful your support of particular candidates, your endorsement, is for certain people. What do you see coming as we head towards November 8th? Do you see a red wave? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I see a lot of censorship again, and I see a lot of other things, a lot of evil forces trying to stop elections. And we had that, and we had that in spades in the 2020 election. But I also see very much of a red wave, because people are tired of the crime and all of the horrible things that are happening. You look at your 401ks, the market is crashing. I mean, it's one of the worst stock markets we've ever had for the last year. It's been horrible. It's much lower than when I handed it off. When I handed it off, it was much higher. People are down 40, 50%. That means they've lost half of their wealth, and they're very angry about it. So I think that's going to be a big factor. I think people are going to remember Afghanistan and the horrible removal, which I think was the worst, most embarrassing period of time in our country's history. And I think that's one of the reasons that Russia went in. They would have never gone in if I were president. They would have never gone into Ukraine. It would have never, ever. It's not even thinkable.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
How would you handle, first of all, I agree with you. I don't think Russia would have ever attempted to do what they did with Ukraine had you been president, for a multitude of reasons. Our energy independence being one, of course, our energy dominance, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. But how would you handle things at this point if you were president?
Well, you see, you're asking me a very tough question, because this is a much tougher point than it would have been had he not gotten in. That was a negotiation. I don't even believe I would have had a negotiation. I think nothing would have happened. And you said it very well, because with energy independence and with low energy costs, he wouldn't have had the money to do it.
Right.
When oil got up to $130 a barrel, and now it's still very, very high, he's making a lot of money despite all of the costs and all of the trauma that he's gone through. And they're fighting very hard on the other side. But the United States is giving billions and billions of dollars, and so many times more than Europe. You know, Europe is not paying a lot of money relative to the United States, which I think is very unfair to the U.S. taxpayer. So a lot of things are happening. To go in there now, you're going to have to get them together, and you're going to have to say, you're going to have to make a deal. And we have a lot of power over that. But one of the biggest powers we have is to get the energy prices lower, because if we'd lower the price of energy, if we could get where Putin's not doing $100 a barrel, but he's doing $40 a barrel, there wouldn't be a war. It wouldn't have started. Number one, it wouldn't have started just because of me, but it also wouldn't have started if energy prices were low. And you got to get them down, because they're artificially high right now. And the bad news is they're artificially high, but they're going to go much higher.
Yeah, well, it brings me actually to my next question, which is, we have seen in less than 2 years in office how damaging Joe Biden truly has been for this country. The decisions he's made, obviously we've just watched the country tank in so many ways, and it basically was a reversal of so many of your policies that were so successful for the people of this country. How do we fix it though? How do we come back from here? Because it feels to so many people almost they feel helpless at this point.
Well, the one thing that's very hard is you have millions and millions of people pouring into the country. And we can do the energy, we can get that going again, and we can create a tremendous, we have more, I call it liquid gold, under our feet than any other country, any other land. We have tremendous, we were very fortunate to pick this piece of real estate, okay, when it all began.
You would know.
But it's a great piece of real estate. But we have natural gas, we have oil, we have almost unlimited, it's a hard word, but you could say 500 years at maximum usage. So we have something that China doesn't have, that most other countries don't have. And when you look at what's going on, when you look at how this has all been wasted, they're talking about an electric car, electric batteries. It only goes for a short period of time before you have to get it recharged. And as it gets better over years, it's still not going to be great. It's never going to be like what we have right now. People don't want it. But importantly, the batteries are all made
from China.
In China,
yeah.
From material under China's earth. They don't have gasoline, they don't have oil and gas, but they have the materials for batteries. We are playing right into their hands as usual.
Yeah, it's so sad to see, honestly. Very important question, would love to get your take on this. Do you think Joe Biden runs again?
I think he's going to try, and I've said this before. I said it the other night on Sean Hannity's show. I would love to see him do a great job because our country is really dying.
Right.
Our country is dying. We have never been in this position. And now for the last 2 weeks, they're talking about nuclear. This hasn't been discussed. This was a no-no. You don't ever mention it. I said, you don't mention it, and you don't mention it. You don't say it. Well, they've used the nuclear word, and it's considered a no-no. You don't do it. And this isn't a third world country using it. This is Russia using it, who does have great nuclear power, and so do we. I rebuilt our nuclear capability. I renovated and bought new tremendous amounts. It's a word you don't want to touch because it's so destructive, so incredibly destructive. So many people, countries wiped out, you wipe out. And, when I watch these foolhardy people discuss the Green New Deal and global warming, and nobody ever mentions nuclear warming, and here you have this threat that could be imminent. We could end up in World War III very soon by the way our country is handling this negotiation, or whatever you want to call it. But they worry about the ocean. In 200 years is going to be 1/8 of an inch higher than it is right now. But they never mention nuclear weapons and the power and destructive capability of nuclear weapons. And I don't know, are they just sad, stupid people, or what's going on? But it's pretty hard to believe. The Green New Deal is destroying our country. It's like throwing trillions and trillions of dollars right out the window. It's causing tremendous inflation, and it's causing a lot of problems. And it would be wonderful to get on that bandwagon. Boris got on that bandwagon, and look what happened to him, because people didn't like that, and they don't like it now. They want to stop crime. They want to see things get done. They want to have a country back again, what's going on in this country. And then on top of it, people are being censored. They're being harassed. And in many cases, these are great people, great patriots. And their opposite side, we'll use nice terms, opposite side, nothing ever happens to them.
Yeah.
And it's a very unfair situation.
I like that you said that you want to see Joe Biden be successful, because I think so many Americans feel that way. Whoever ends up as president, whether or not you vote for that person, whether or not they fully represent, your views, we all want the president to be successful, because then America and Americans are successful. I love that you said that, and I wish people would consider that. I wish they would have considered that when you were president, because I said all the time, they would rather have seen the country fail than have seen you succeed. But I love that you said that. I think that is a wonderful way to look at things. And it does bring me to 2024. What factors are you weighing to make your decision as to whether or not you run in 24?
I just want to see this country be great. I don't think I've ever seen the country in such danger as it is right now. We're in serious danger. And also, we're just not the same place. We are right now not a great country. You know, I say make America great again. I think that that term has never had such meaning as it does right now. I had a previous campaign, I was going to say, keep America great. And then I realized you can't use that because America right now is being laughed at by the entire world. Our influence has dwindled. You look at all of the things that are wrong with the economy, with the military, our woke military. We have great military, but we have woke people on top running it. And they don't focus on China, they don't focus on Russia, they focus on things that nobody wants to talk about. It's crazy what's happening to our country in so many different ways. And what I want to see is I want to see America be great again. We can be great again. We have some problems that have been caused in the last 2 years that are very hard to do. We have a lot of people, and look, other countries have emptied their prisons into the United States. And these are seriously tough, mean, crazy people. And they've emptied their prisons because they don't want to take care of some killer, murderer for 50 years, 60 years until he dies. They've given us those people. And we have thousands and thousands of them. We have terrorists that came into our country totally unimpeded. And that's a big problem. We have to do something about that. But we can turn it around and we can make America great again. And that's what I'm all about, make America great again.
Gosh, wouldn't that be lovely to see that happen? What is your pitch to maybe a Democrat out there who doesn't really support you? They say, well, I don't like the way he says things, but they don't like the direction that this country is headed right now.
I think they support me much more than people would think.
I agree with that.
Even more than you would think. I've had many people tell me, I have actors that I see on television sort of speak a little bit negatively, and then they meet me, they said, by the way, I voted for you, just don't tell anybody. You have plenty of those people. Look, people don't want to be mugged when they walk out of their home. They don't want to be beat up or shot on the street. We've never seen anything like it, where packs of hundreds of people, many young people, but not all young people, go and attack a store all simultaneously. It's like an army going in and invading stores and stealing everything. And the police are standing outside. We have to give their authority back because right now they don't have any authority. They do something and they end up losing their job and having to lose their home and their family. We have to give the police their authority back. But we've never had crime like we have right now. There's never been anything like it. And you know, the whole world is watching because the whole world can't believe we allow this to happen. And we can change that. We can change it very fast.
Are there any Republicans who you might be thinking about, top of your list as a possible running mate, should you run? Or maybe I'll phrase it differently, anyone you would definitely not have as a running mate?
Well, yeah, there are some of them. But we have a lot of great people in the Republican Party. And I always say they have to get tougher. We have to get tougher because the Democrats do things that shouldn't be allowed. What they're doing is very, very dangerous. It's very interesting, though, about coming together as a full nation, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative. Before the China virus, COVID coming in, it came in, but the day before that happened, we had an economy that was the strongest in the history of the world. We were doubling up on China. We were going, China was supposed to catch us in 2018, 2019. For years, they were saying by 2018, I just happened to be president. Okay, I didn't like that. In fact, I told President Xi where it said China 25, they had China 25. That meant they were going to be number one. I said, nope, I don't want that. But always it was 2018, 2019, they were going to catch us. Well, it was just the opposite. We were leapfrogging them. We were doing so well. We never had a better economy. There was never a better economy in the history of the world. And then COVID came in. And we had to do what we had to do. We got it fixed. And I handed over a stock market that was higher than it was the day before COVID came in. But if you go back to that time, we never had anything like it. And what happened is I was starting to get calls and meetings with people, really Democrats, and people on the far left. They wanted to meet. This country was coming together like I've never seen before. People that were not on my agenda and I wasn't on their agenda were coming together because everybody was taken care of. African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, highly uneducated and highly educated. Everybody had jobs. Everybody was doing better than they've ever done. The country was doing better than it had ever done. And there was a tremendous amount of reach out to me for meetings. Nobody could say anything. There was nothing bad to say. And our country was coming together. Then we had COVID come in. Some people think China did that on purpose, and some people don't. I don't happen to think that. I think it got out of hand from Wuhan, the lab in Wuhan. I really believe it was incompetence or something. But there are many people that are smart that think that we were doing so well that maybe it was done on purpose. But we were coming together as a country like I've never seen before, like I don't think this country has ever done, maybe early on when there was unity, when it was being formed. But we really, things were happening that were very beautiful. And I believe it can happen again. I think success can bring the country together. That was the ultimate, most successful period of time. That reasonably long period from the time I got elected up until the day before the plague came in from China. Thank you very much, China. And they have to pay for what they've done, because they've done tremendous damage to the world. They don't have nearly enough money to do that, by the way. I estimate it to be $60 trillion. They don't have $60 trillion. But the damage that they did because of the lab, because of whatever their precautions were, the damage they did to this country and to this world is incredible. But before that came in, this country was being unified. It was a beautiful thing. I remember a pollster came in to see me a week before, and he said, if Abraham Lincoln and George Washington got together and ran for president and vice president, they could not beat you. That's how strong the numbers were.
That's pretty good.
Because things were really good. And then when that came, we had to go and do what we had to do, and we did a great job with Operation Warp Speed and so many things. We did a great job. We don't get credit for that, but we did a great job. So I really think success can bring it together, Laura. Success. It was happening. It was happening so positively. I couldn't believe it. People were calling me that would literally not even think about it. They wanted to get together so badly. This country was coming together, and it was that great period of success that was doing it, and it can happen again.
I love the positivity. I love to hear that, because I think a lot of people need a message that's uplifting like that right now. It's a very tough time for so many people. We're headed into winter. We haven't even seen, like you said, the worst of the gas situation. I hope you're right. I hope we can come together. And of course, I hope that it will be because you run again and win again as president. Final question. On June 18th of this year, in a speech you gave in Memphis, Tennessee, you said, and I quote, "I make this pledge to you today. I will never ride a bicycle."
That's true.
Can the American people trust that you will keep that pledge?
I promise I will never ride a bike. I saw what happened to our president. I said, I don't want that to happen. Now, things happen. Look, so many things are so sad. When our vice president gets up the other day by mistake, well, I assume by mistake, and she talks about our great alliance with North Korea, and you have all these South Korean, the top people in South Korea sitting there, and she's talking about the alliance, and she meant South Korea. It was a mistake, but almost not an acceptable mistake. Sometimes I said, actually, that was one time when somebody should have gone up and said, I'm sorry, ma'am, you made a mistake. Please change it, because it was so bad. They didn't do that. That was a really bad one. No, they've had some bad gaffes. That was a very bad one. But recent, but bad.
We will not see you on a bicycle as president or otherwise,
no.
For sure.
And you won't see me getting North Korea and South Korea mixed up, I promise.
Positive, okay, we like that. Well, as always, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will check back in with you, and we hope that there's a big announcement to come soon. We will see.
Good, and I hope you don't get censored. I hope you don't get taken off.
We do too.
I hope at least they get to see a piece of my first answer, just a little tiny piece of my first answer before they do it. Good.
Thank
you very much,
We
Lara.
appreciate it. And everybody at home, as always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for more.